The Lubbock City Council has given initial approval to a major rezoning request that would change how thousands of acres of land can be used in District 1.
This is part of a larger initiative to rezone many parts of the city. KCBD News Channel 11's Jaden Santos tells us how this is all unfolding. Jaden?
Karen and Abner, this stems from December of 2018 when the Lubbock City Council adopted Plan Lubbock 2040, a roadmap for how the city should grow over the next 2 decades. Since then, the Planning and Zoning Commission figured out the current zoning of certain properties did not align with the comprehensive plan. That's where this first zone case comes in.
Zone changes are intended to bring a lot of properties into conformance.
Beginning in North and East Lubbock, the City Planning Department is working to bring things in line based on its goals for future growth, outlined in several plans developed over the past several years.
And then there are areas where, after we adopted the Unified Development Code, properties may have become non-conforming because the Unified Development Code tries to put uses in appropriate districts, where our former code allowed everything to stack upon itself.
Kristen Sager leads the planning department, which conducted a zone map analysis last year, finding properties where the current zoning did not align with existing land use or future land use plan.
So Canyon West, the area at Marcia Sharp, you have in Milwaukee, that area is zoned industrial because they didn't have to rezone it, even though it has developed as commercial and retail. So this is going to benefit them by putting their properties in an appropriate zoning district.
These rezoning cases now have to get approval by the Commission and Council. As the first case in District 1 came before Council, residents expressed concerns over pollution and the environmental impact of industrial zoning. Sager wants you to know, as the city goes through the process, your opinion matters. Affected property owners should get a letter in the mail.
We always encourage our citizens to respond to those letters, call us if they have questions, come to the meeting, speak at the public hearing. We want to hear from them.
Planning staff will present a total of 6 separate zone cases throughout the year during council meetings ending with District 6 in July. Each case will go through the Planning and Zoning Committee and then require 2 votes by council and a public hearing where you can make your voice heard. Karen and Abner?
Thank you, Jaden.